Hi, my friends. Today I want to present you a new story. Enjoy watching it.
I was 7 when I first noticed the divide. Paige, only 4 at the time, had toppled an entire pitcher of juice over our new rug. I rushed to fetch towels, eager to fix it before Mom saw. But when she walked in, her eyes softened at Paige. "Oh, sweetheart, accidents happen," she cooed, pulling her into her arms. I stood there, holding soggy towels, invisible. That was how it always went. Paige was the golden child, I the dependable one. When she scraped through her spelling test with a D, she was rewarded with ice cream. When I returned with a perfect score, Dad only said, "That's what we expect from you, Liliana." It worsened with age. At 12, Dad gave Paige a brand new bicycle for trying her best. I had spent weeks tutoring her, while my own straight A's earned me nothing more than a pat on the head. One evening I finally asked, "Why does Paige get more?" Mom's eyes narrowed. "Don't start, Liliana. You know she's delicate. She needs encouragement. Delicate." That word became the justification for every imbalance. By high school, Paige was the star of the family despite her failures. She quit the swim team after 2 weeks, yet Mom admired her bravery. I won a regional science award, and the only thing Dad said was, "Just don't let it distract you from helping Paige with her math homework." College should have been my escape. I worked double shifts at the diner, shelving books at night to pay tuition. I lived on caffeine and determination. But when Paige's turn came, our parents pulled off a miracle. They took out a loan for her tuition. "It's different," Dad explained when I asked why. "Paige has potential. She just needs a boost." In the end, due to my parents' lack of funds, I paid for her education loan, watching my own dreams postponed while Paige drifted from one major to another. It was during one of those endless nights, wiping down tables at the diner, that the truth cut deep. My worth to my parents wasn't love or pride, it was utility. Paige was the dreamer they admired. I was the mule who carried the weight, and somewhere inside, resentment began to grow, quiet, steady, and patient, like a storm gathering at the horizon. Adulthood crept in before I had the chance to claim my own dreams. While others my age filled their calendars with lectures, road trips, and half-formed romances, I was clocking in at dawn, handing over paychecks before I'd even touched them. It began small, just a little help with groceries, Mom had asked. Then came Dad's hushed request to cover the electricity bill. Soon my wages became the invisible lifeline that kept the house afloat. I told myself it was temporary, but months bled into years, and still I was the one propping up the very family that had overlooked me. Paige, meanwhile, flitted from one pursuit to the next. First art school, then psychology, then a break to find herself. Each new turn came with another financial rescue, and each time I was the one footing the silent bill. One night, exhausted after a 12-hour shift, I found Paige sprawled on the couch scrolling through her phone. "Did you send my rent money yet?" she asked, as though I were her bank, not her sister. I snapped. "Do you even hear yourself? I'm drowning to keep you afloat." She didn't even look up. "Don't be dramatic, Liliana. You've always been the responsible one. It suits you." The words lodged like splinters. That was the role carved for me. Responsibility without recognition. Even when I tried to carve out my own space, my parents reeled me back. "Your sister needs you," Dad said firmly when I suggested moving into a small apartment. Mom's voice followed, soft but sharp. "Don't be selfish, Liliana. Family comes first." I wanted to believe them. For years I did. But every sacrifice I made, every dream I deferred, began stacking into a silent ledger. And one day I knew the debt would have to be paid, not by me, but by them. Thanksgiving dinner was supposed to be a celebration, but instead it became the battlefield where years of silence cracked open. The table gleamed with roasted turkey, golden potatoes, and cranberry sauce, yet beneath it all simmered unspoken resentment. Paige had launched into another grand tale of her new business venture, a boutique she insisted would be revolutionary. I had heard this song before, 5 schemes in as many years, each one ending with unpaid debts that I covered quietly. But tonight, something inside me refused to stay silent. "Paige," I said evenly, setting down my fork, "you still haven't paid back the last loan. Maybe instead of starting another project, you should focus on fixing the wreckage from the last one." Paige leaned back in her chair, smirking. Liliana, you hoard money for yourself while the family struggles. Admit it. The air froze. Paige's eyes flashed and she spat. You've always been jealous. You think paying bills makes you better than me. Before I could answer, my parents erupted. My father's voice thundered across the table. Paying the bills does not give you a say in this family. Just silently pay the bills quietly. My mother added, her face twisted with rage. If you can't respect your sister, then you don't belong here. I stared at them stunned. So all the years I've carried you mean nothing. Their verdict came swiftly, sharp as glass. Get out, Liliana, my father barked. Leave now and don't come back for Christmas, or our birthdays either. You are no longer welcome. Mom's voice, brittle, sealed the verdict. We're disappointed in you. I looked at their faces, unmoved, already convinced, and felt the ground tilt beneath me. The years I had given away meant nothing. My sacrifices were invisible. The room fell silent, relatives shifting uncomfortably as I rose from my chair. No one spoke, no one defended me. Even the clinking of cutlery ceased. I walked out into the cold November night, my heart pounding but strangely lighter. They had finally spoken their truth, and in that moment I knew I would no longer carry their weight. The morning after Thanksgiving, I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the stack of unpaid bills I had covered month after month. Each envelope was a reminder of sacrifices I had made for people who now called me selfish. My hands trembled, not with grief anymore, but with resolve. I picked up the phone and dialed. Dad answered, his tone cold. I'll be clear, I said, each word deliberate. I'm done paying your debts, your utilities, all your comforts. From this moment forward, you're on your own. There was a pause, then a sharp exhale. Liliana, don't be dramatic. Maybe I got overreactive yesterday. Families help each other. I let out a bitter laugh. Families don't disown their children at the dinner table. Families don't brand the one who's kept them afloat as a parasite. Let Paige pay for all your expenses from now on. In the background, I heard Mom's voice, anxious and pleading. You can't just walk away. What about the mortgage? Your father's medication? Paige's tuition? Her words only hardened me. I've given years of my life to keep you all standing. And what did I get in return? Humiliation. Betrayal. Disappointment. Well, now you'll get the silence you always gave me. Dad's voice thundered, if you leave us like this, don't expect to come back. I realized that yesterday. I don't really want to go back to the hornet's nest. I replied, my tone sharp as steel. And before he could say another word, I hung up. For the first time in years, my chest felt lighter. The cords that had bound me, financially, emotionally, spiritually, were severed. Their world would collapse without my support, and maybe that was the justice they had earned. As I closed the ledger of debts, I realized I wasn't losing a family. I was reclaiming myself. Weeks passed, and the silence from my family was deafening, but not painful. Without their demands pressing against me, I discovered something unexpected: peace. My mornings were no longer consumed by juggling their bills. Instead, I poured coffee, opened my laptop, and invested in my own dreams. One evening, as the sun dipped beyond the city skyline, Paige's number lit up my phone. For a moment, old habits tugged at me, but I pressed decline. A second later, a message arrived. We need you. Everything's falling apart. I whispered to myself, you all should have thought about this earlier, instead of biting the hand that feeds you. Later that night, my best friend Clara leaned across the table in a quiet cafe. You look different, she said. I feel different, I admitted with a small smile. For the first time, I'm not living in their shadow. I'm living in my own light. Clara raised her glass. To ashes then, to what burns away and what rises stronger. I clinked mine against hers, my heart steady. The cords were gone, the betrayal behind me. Whatever storms awaited, I knew one truth. I was finally free. Months later, I walked past the old family home. The windows were dark, the lawn untended. A shell of the place I once called sanctuary. For years, I believed my worth was measured by their approval, their affection, their needs. Now I knew better. I had secured a new apartment filled with sunlight and quiet. I had started sketching out plans for the business I had always dreamed of. Most of all, I had found joy in the simple things: peaceful mornings, loyal friends, and the sound of my own laughter. As I turned away from the house, I whispered, I gave you years, but I will not give you my future.
Friends, what do you think of this story? Write your opinion in the comments. Would you like more stories? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss any videos. See you tomorrow.